Hey everyone, welcome back to John's Watch. Today I'm taking a look at a new game called PaperKlay. This game was released on Steam on May 27th, 2025. Its regular price is $19.49 Canadian or regional equivalent, and it's developed and published by YKev, who is a solo developer, so this whole game is made by a solo developer. Very impressive. This is a classic 3D platformer with a tactile twist. Open, unfold, and rotate your way through a stunning world built with familiar crafting materials. So this definitely is a 3D platformer in the style of classic games like Banjo-Kazooie. I think is probably the most obvious reference or inspiration for this game. I do wish it had in the little blurb there that it's more one of the collect-a-thon style 3D platformers compared to, I don't know, a more action-oriented 3D platformer. It does say further down the Steam page, like pretty quickly, that it is a collect-a-thon, but maybe nice to have it in the blurb there because it's definitely a collect-a-thon. If you're familiar with those kinds of 3D platformers, you've just got a bunch of currencies to collect, pretty much, and in this game, you just use them to unlock various upgrades for your character. In this game, you play as the duo of Chick and Nugget, partially why I said that Banjo-Kazooie was one of the most obvious inspirations. You basically control Chick, who is a chicken, and you wear a backpack with your buddy Nugget in it. Although, unlike Banjo-Kazooie, Nugget doesn't seem to do very much, just kind of is there to complain a fair bit so far from what I've seen. Whereas in Banjo-Kazooie, I believe, I've never played Banjo-Kazooie myself, but Banjo or Kazooie, whichever one the bird is the reason you can fly. God, that's embarrassing. I don't 100% know which is which. But you play as these two, you mostly play as Chick. And you start the game off by Chick and Nugget are just laying in a field, gazing up at the sky, and Chick's like, I really wish I could have an adventure. And then bam, out of nowhere, pirate ship appears in the sky, and the evil villain of the game, Nox, he's like a fox, I guess, is stealing a bunch of eggs. And Chick's like, bam, perfect, there's my adventure. Gonna go catch up to this guy, rescue all the eggs. Luckily, as the pirate ship is flying off through the sky, they're dropping a bunch of eggs along the way. So in order to catch up to them, just gotta go collect all the eggs, and basically you collect 5 eggs per main level, main like area. And once you've got the 5 eggs, you can then move on to the next area. And the way it works is, once you get through the little introductory area, you arrive at the first hub world, I guess. And in the hub world, there are a few books. And basically, books are the way you go into the individual levels of that hub world. A little bit like Spyro, I guess. So far, like I said, for each hub world, you've got to collect 5 eggs. I think in the first hub world you only had to collect 4 eggs in order to leave and move on to the next one. I just got the 5th because it seemed pretty doable. But so far it seems like there's 1 egg in the hub world itself, and then the other 4 you have to go into the books, the individual levels, basically platform your way through them and grab the egg at the end of the level. And I've done the first 2 hub worlds, so like the introductory level and the first 2 hub worlds. And that's taken me 106 minutes according to Steam. I 100%ed like one of the first levels, just to see if it could give me an achievement, and it did. And I very quickly recalled that I don't particularly like collect-a-thons. I'm definitely not the kind of person to try and 100% these kinds of games. I think when I played Spyro Reignited, I started off doing it because I was like, I've never played Spyro, I've always wanted to try it. And by the end of the game, I was absolutely just skipping gems left and right because I just don't really care about collecting them all. And I very, very quickly, in this game, remembered that I don't like collect-a-thons. And so after I 100%ed the first level, didn't even come close to trying to 100% any other level after that. In the footage, you'll probably just see me just not even looking at the buttons that I'm meant to collect as I go past them, just completely skipping them. And I will say there are a ton of collectibles that this currency to collect. There's a review on Steam that mentions that Donkey Kong 64 had 3,500 colored bananas, and PaperKlay has 4,550 buttons. So over 1,000 more collectibles than Donkey Kong 64. So there's a lot in this game, and yeah, I just very quickly realized I wasn't going to bother collecting them. So yeah, but basically once I finished the second hub world and arrived in the third one, I knew pretty early on this game wasn't for me. I quite like 3D platformers, but I really don't like the collect-a-thon style, and I felt that this game didn't really have too much outside of the collect-a-thon stuff to make it worth my while playing anymore. So yeah, I'm done playing it at this point. I think this mostly comes down to the fact that there's no real progression at all. I had an inkling that this might be the case, but the same review that I mentioned before confirms that there's no skill unlocks whatsoever. Within the first minute of starting the game, you're taught how to use your glider, like Breath of the Wild style, or probably like Banjo-Kazooie. And you can double jump, you can spin to attack and damage enemies, and these are your skills, and they're the exact same skills that you'll finish the game with. So yeah, I just didn't really feel like there was much point in playing further, because I wasn't gonna unlock anything different or interesting. I was just gonna see, new levels, new enemies, but kind of the same level design in every hub world. And it just didn't really feel like the end of the game was going to be that different from the start of the game. The only way you can upgrade your character is by collecting the buttons, and you can unlock badges, which give you, two of the ones that I unlocked gave me 2 extra health points. That was about it. There's 6 badges you can unlock, and all but the first 2 are gated behind having a certain number of eggs. But the upgrades weren't particularly exciting, like get 1 extra health point. You drop less from gliding. A real plus is that every single character in the game is voiced, which, again, is obviously incredibly impressive for a solo developed game. The store page mentions that the cast of characters is made up of actors who you may know from Sly Cooper, Five Nights at Freddy's, Attack on Titan, and more. So a pretty diverse roster of cast of voice actors in this game. Fantastic that it's all voiced. Really, really impressive. Unfortunately, the dialogue is not great, or I don't know. The storytelling is not that interesting, I suppose. Going back to this review again, they start by saying the dialogue isn't funny or interesting, it's cringe, or at best bland. I probably wouldn't go as harsh as calling it cringe, but I do think bland pretty much sums it up. Even literally half an hour in, I was skipping dialogue from characters because I knew there was, it was just going to be bland. It was going to be very milquetoast. There wasn't going to be anything too interesting to learn from the characters. Even though they were voiced, which was nice. I do want to say that there's some real creativity has gone into this game. Obviously, the art style is a huge standout. It's very paper crafted, kind of like Yoshi's Crafted World, but a little bit more tactile, I guess. Your characters are made out of clay. The world is made up of this beautiful paper craft. You've seen it in this video. You know what it looks like. Can't say enough good things about the art style. It is tremendous. And this tactility is also carried over into the level mechanics themselves. Pretty routinely throughout levels, you'll find a little spinny knob on the ground, and when you attack it, you will rotate kind of like the next part of the world. And it looks really cool, where you're just Inception rotating the whole world around you. It's very, very cool, and I always found it extremely intuitive, how far I needed to rotate it. Basically, if you're standing at one of these buttons, you're looking out at a void, you spin, like you attack the knob to spin it. It rotates the level ahead of you 90 degrees. You know, hit it again, another 90 degrees. I always found it's extremely intuitive to just hit the knob and be like, oh yes, this is obviously the right orientation for the level. I never ever had to backtrack because I'd got the orientation wrong. So really, really intuitive, as I said. I did find there was a real over-reliance on slow floating platforms, and I'll hopefully have a couple of good examples of this on screen right now. But I definitely found, you know, not an insignificant number of times I would, you know, get to the edge of a platform and I would just have to sit there for, like, not a small amount of time while I waited for a slow platform to come round to me. And, you know, if I died, I would respawn and, again, just have to wait for a platform to come up to me. Most of the game felt, like, decently fast-paced, but it always slowed down to a complete crawl whenever I got to these floating platforms, and I just dreaded seeing them. And they came up quite a bit, unfortunately. I do also want to say that I found that the music was okay. I did find that literally every track in the first hub world just grated on me after a while. I thought the music in the second world was a lot better. A lot of it just kind of, you know, was there underneath the surface, wasn't like catchy enough to get annoying, which was nice because you don't want a soundtrack to get annoying. But I did find that the first world's music was definitely getting to me pretty quickly, just kind of annoying tracks. But the second world, much, much better. I will also say that the game is quite short. The email I was sent talking about it said that a regular playthrough will take about 4 to 5 hours. I'm not sure how many worlds there are, but I do believe there are 4, and like I said, I've done the first 2 worlds in under 2 hours. Obviously, I'm kind of zooming through it because I definitely stopped trying to collect things, so yeah, 4 to 5 hours is probably about right. I know there's a couple of reviews on Steam where they mentioned that they've got 100%. The top one got 100% and they had 8.7 hours. So, you know, decent playtime if you do want 100% it. If you like collect-a-thons, you'll probably like this game. And yeah, if you're looking at like 4 hours for a playthrough or closer to 9 for 100%, I think it's very well priced. I think it's very well priced regardless of how long you want to play it for, honestly. 20 bucks Canadian for a fully voiced, beautiful game with lovely art style and pretty interesting world mechanics. Yeah, I think the price is pretty much bang on, honestly. Especially if you get it like 10% off. That knocks it down to being a pretty good deal. And yeah, this is coming from someone who didn't really like it. There you go, that was a look at PaperKlay. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!